So the last time we talked about How I Met Your Father was, I think, the episode about Sophie and her mom. And so we moved on from that, and a lot of relationship stuff happened in the show. Some relationships ended. A lot of relationships ended. Some relationships started. Some got stronger. We had a guest from How I Met Your Mother show up to the season finale.
On that last episode, I was shocked.
Yeah, both a main character and side character showed up to that episode, which was really fun. I like the way they tied that in. So we can get into more details, but the story is progressing and thank God she broke up with Drew, because goddamn he was a boring fucking character. But yeah, so
I can't wait for Drew to come back just to upset you guys.
He will come back, and
he's gonna date someone else somewhere.
I'm calling it. He's gonna come back as an insane wild person who's he's on the edge of life. I could see that
would be
happening.
funny.
I could see that happening.
That would be funny.
It's ever since you left me, I've just been I'm extreme now. I could just imagine that.
It's a whole new character.
He's fucking in a squirrel suit, just coming down from the Empire State Building.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be sick.
But yeah, so we had, I think the main things that happened with the show, the relationship between Drew and Sophie kind of deteriorated because Drew didn't really support her dream of becoming a photographer. He told her, he's like, hey, Drew's more of a realist. He's like, I think you need to get a steady job, a steady pay. You're kind of too old now. And she's like, well, I want to follow my dream. And then with Jesse had the same mindset because Drew had offered him the music teacher position. Jesse didn't want to take it because he wants to follow his dream of becoming a musician and a songwriter. So they have that in common, and that clicks with them. Other than before they kind of were into each other, and then nothing really happened, but then this kind of pushed it over the edge, and they end up kissing. And I'm talking more about the last two episodes here, because the two episodes in the middle from the episode Stacy, which was with her mom, and then not much really happened.
She found out her mom was the problem.
And we talked about it last time.
But
so I
you
think
learned a few
a lot
things,
of the meat.
I feel the jobs were kind of a thing in some of the episodes. You see that Sophie earned the opportunity to get a job working for a famous photographer, so that's something that I think is going to come back.
And the long distance chick is also getting that LA job where she'll be long distance for longer time.
Yeah. So what's her name? Lori, I think. So she's gonna be. She's still trying to do the long distance thing with Sid. But you had that. You got to see. What else did we get to see?
The other chick's job where she makes it look glam, but it's actually shitty.
And then she's trying to steal stuff from her boss. So I feel like they did some stuff to focus on their jobs. And then you have what's his name? The British guy, Charlie. He's working for Sid, which is going to be an issue, I guarantee, at some point.
Of course,
has to.
Yeah.
One thing they did on episode 5 I thought was funny was Slim Shady, the little
we talked about that last time where he
did he?
Yeah. That was the one, remember you said you didn't get a chance to watch it that week?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I actually liked what they did on that episode with Slim Shady when he killed him.
Yeah.
And he's like, Slim Shady, please stand up. I was actually laughing at that.
Yeah.
They have some Go ahead.
No, go for it. I was just going to say they have some corny jokes that kind of hit.
Yeah.
Which is really good, but yeah.
One other job I want to talk about, and this was more in the last episode or last two, was Helen's, where she...
Is it Helen or Ellen?
I'm sorry, it's Ellen. You're right, it's Ellen.
Ellen.
Where she goes and she applies for, what was it, Goliath something. And
Goliath.
I was like,
Goliath Produce. Yeah, I like
and
that
I was just
drop,
that's Goliath National Bank. Okay, I see you. They're associated with each other somehow. I'm like, that's the company that Barney tried to take down, or eventually did take down, I think.
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
So I like that callback, and you were talking about the two characters at the end. There was also the two characters right before that were from the previous show, the captain and Boats.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about.
Well, I thought you were talking about the two after, the bartender and what's her
Oh,
face.
I didn't count the bartender, but yes,
the bartender was there from day one, man. Come on, you gotta
I know
respect
He
it.
was. He
very
really
true.
was.
I can't name him. I can't. None of us can. But
And it's funny because spoilers, Robin said his name like 6 times.
I know his name. Like as soon as they said it, I'm like, oh, that's right. It's this guy.
Yeah, but yeah, so we had like the captain and his wife who
Boats.
caught him with his mistress, and then she's like, and it's funny the way they tied that into
I love
the
that.
ending of the season, which was perfect. But yeah, so Sophie ends up breaking up with Drew, and now Charlie and Valentina are having issues because like Valentina hinted that she might want kids, and like Charlie's like, I don't want kids, like my mother was like super mean, like I don't want to turn into like a mean person because of kids.
Yeah. And they're
So
both
they
dead
break
set
up.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
so
not. He's not trying to change his mind.
Yeah. Same with
Yeah.
her. She's not trying to change her mind either.
Yeah.
She wants kids.
exactly.
That's
So
an important deal breaker.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is. So they end up breaking up because of that, and it's important to like have that conversation
Oh,
too
absolutely.
early on.
Yeah.
So so they end up breaking up, and then Sophie broke up with Drew to get with Jesse, and now they got together. They had a great night of like sex, and then apparently Jesse says like I love you in his sleep, and then she
He
freaks
says,
out.
"I love you, Sophie." He even like
Yeah.
names
Yeah.
her. This is weird.
Yeah, and so she freaks out, and then like ends up running into Robin Scherbatsky, and talks to her, and then Robin's like, "Don't run away from things just because you're scared." Like he didn't do anything wrong. Like he literally did everything you would want from a guy, but he just did it quicker. So she ends up trying to go back, and like because she had a fight with Jesse, and she told him she got even more scared when he told her he gave up the tour where his girl, because his ex came back and was like, hey, come to tour with me, I regret breaking up, like we can work on it. And he was like, no, I don't want to go, I want to stay here because of Sophie. He didn't tell her that, but he just said no. He told Sophie that he did that, and she was like, oh my god, you can't do that just for me, or blah blah blah. And then like after she has the talk with Robin, she goes back and she talks to him. She doesn't talk to him. She goes back, and then she sees him with his ex, and they're kissing, and I guess they're going to go on tour. So she's kind of a little heartbroken, and then she goes to her gallery, which ends up being the picture that she took of him with the car broken down, that she entered, and like the photographer lady said she would put it on her gallery. And the ending, right? So the reason why the captain was so important because his wife took his boats in a divorce, and one of those boats being a boat in Australia that was doing research for the reef, and it ended up being the same boat that I forgot his name, Ian, the guy that she went on like that Tinder date with that
Episode
they really
1.
clicked.
Yep.
Yeah, and he ends up coming back because she took the boats from the divorce, and she said she would sink him. So he had to come back because there's no boat for them to go out and do the research, which I thought was like genius, the way they tied that in together. I just wonder where in Robin's life are we seeing her right now? Is this when she's already with Ted?
No, because if
right?
you look, because remember when she got with Ted, they were much older. At this point, Ted's still married to, I can't remember her name, his wife, and Robin's off doing her, because she said, "Oh, I have to meet so and so, like famous people." This is when she's still becoming like top newscaster of the world. Robin, she's not there yet. She's on her way, so she's not. As far as we know, she's not in a relationship with anyone.
Okay, yeah, cool. So this is like, so now we kind of know where in the timeline of How I Met Your Mother this is taking place.
Yeah. Well, they said it.
Which is
like in the
cool.
beginning. They said it was. This is 20. I think it was 2021.
The show is in 2022.
The show is set in 2022.
Yeah.
Isn't the future in 2050? Like when they jump?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And How I Met Your Mother, they kind of showed what happens throughout the years. Like they jumped around. They show when Barney finally decides he wants to be a good father, and like they jump through history at the finale of How I Met Your Mother. So it's like that's how I know like we're in between.
Well, also like one thing How I Met Your Mother, I don't know if they did this in the first season, but in like the later seasons, what they do is they would show you a big event, and then it would take the whole season to show you how it got there. So I wonder if they're going to do that in season 2 of How I Met Your Father.
I think with that, it was just because they caught up to regular time and they needed to figure out how to space out. Because
okay, that makes sense. But
no, go ahead.
I guess How I Met Your Father kind of doesn't have to deal with that because they're in the current time, right? They're in 2022, and by the next season comes out, it'll be 2023 or something like that.
Yeah, it depends on what they're going to do. Because the way I see it, I don't know if this is true, but I would assume that there has to be a time jump.
There will
season
be,
2
because it's not like we're going to have like 20-something seasons until we get to 2050.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, I think that season 2 is going to probably, the way I see it, it's going to start after Jesse's finished the tour, and he comes back.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
That does sound like it would make sense.
Oh, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. So I think it's going to take place from there. And is Jesse in a relationship with his ex? Have things gone horrible? Is Sophie still trying to go after her? Is Sophie now dating Ian this whole time? Like, there's so many things that could be happening in that.
I think they will do a time skip, but a time skip with flashbacks, so you can see what happened in that time.
Robin was also talking about how, like, timing can be a bitch sometimes, and like timing is everything, especially when it comes to romance. So maybe timing it, maybe they do come back together and find the right timing later, where it's just like,
they're definitely getting together. They're going to get together and break up like another 3 times. Like,
there's still a couple more times in the works.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I was really hoping for was when Sophie was telling Robin the whole, like, he said I love you in his sleep. You don't know how bad I wish Robin would have said he pulled a Ted, or just something along those lines.
Yeah, like that would have been funny.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm enjoying the show very much. Like I said,
I definitely enjoyed these last couple episodes. Yeah. There were a lot more events happened. Obviously, the beginning was a lot of setup, so that makes sense. But now I feel like we know the characters a lot more. We can kind of guess where it's gonna go. The next season is gonna be twice as long, so we're gonna have twice as much shenanigans. And it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic between Charlie and Valentina, if they're gonna be the couple that's like back and forth, or is it like this is just over for them and they're just gonna find other people.
Also, Ellen with the neighbor. What's gonna happen with that? Is she gonna become a bigger character in the show?
Dude, I love Ellen so much. Yeah. She's like my favorite.
She's great. She's great.
She's awesome.
She's so funny. She's so funny. And I don't know. It's just like there's something about her that's like very enjoyable. Yeah. Her character.
I'm liking Sid a lot, actually. Sid is he's just a fucking goofball. It's great. Like,
yeah.
He's like, you're not gonna bring back an apology, Kit Kat. You're definitely new to relationships. I was laughing at it. Yeah. No, yeah, he's pretty funny.
I like that promise handshake that him and Jesse did was funny. Where they did the thumb promise.
Oh, yeah, because the thumbs are stronger than pinkies.
Yeah, and then they, like, kiss the back of the hands. Just, like, seal it with a kiss. That was funny.
Oh, man.
The whole getting locked in and, what's the term that they used?
What do you mean?
When they were finishing up their work.
Oh, they were. It was something. They were going to pound it out or something like that.
Yes, there we go. Yes, a pound session.
Yeah.
And they were like, "That's like that's not how you're supposed to use that, because we're going to pound out the work, guys." Yeah. Like,
oh god. No.
But yeah, they're. I feel like I want to see, and again, this is only the first season, but things that I want to see a little bit more is the relationship between Sid and Jesse. I want to see their friendship a little more. Hopefully we can get some flashbacks of them when they were back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I think in the future we're going to get that a little more. We're like flashbacks between Sophie and Valentina, flashbacks between Sid and Jesse, and then maybe we'll get to see Jesse and Ellen when they were like small kids.
One thing I definitely want to see is it was like a throwaway line. And I want to see if they come back to it. I made it a point to remember it. Halloween 2018. So there.
Yes.
There's the one point where it's like Sophie and Valentina, they're talking, and they're just like, this is just like what happened.
About the drugs.
Yes, the drugs. Yes.
Yes.
They're like, this reminds me of Halloween 2018. It's like, you never talk about Halloween 2018 or something along those lines. Like, oh man, I need that flashback. I
can't wait for that.
Yeah, I had to wait for that callback.
Speaking of callbacks, I loved when the captain was talking about the one night when somebody stole his pineapple from his bedside.
Oh, yeah. That was hilarious. I was like, the pineapple's back. They brought it back
Pineapple
somehow.
made it. I mean, there's so much that the McLaren's, the bar itself.
Yeah,
when they go to the bar, I was like, oh man, it's so good to see it again. You know, the setting. But I have I have a question. Season 1 is finished. Where do you guys stand on the whole who's the father situation? I mean, do you think you know who the father is? Do you think you understand why Sophie is telling the story to her son yet? Like, I have some theories. I'm just curious to hear what you guys think.
Honestly, I don't even care about guessing because it's not about the father to me. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's and
not for nothing. That's why you didn't win Danny last time. You don't think about it.
Exactly. and maybe I'll think about it later on. But win Danny back. I think we should do that bet again. I should be able to get a.
I need
chance
something.
to
No, I
redeem him.
need. Yeah, but you gotta give me a reason to put him on the line. What am I gonna get if I win again? I already have
naming
him.
rights to my firstborn.
I ain't cheap.
I ain't cheap. Oh man.
But all right, I'll give you. I'll try to think of something. Who do I think the father is gonna be? I know the fuck it's not gonna be Drew.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how much they think that. Like,
You sure?
You are not fucking like doing that to me. Like, if Drew's the father, like, fuck this show.
Watch Drew be the son somehow.
I don't. I feel like it's not Drew or Jesse. I don't know. I really don't know who it could be. I feel like Jesse would be too obvious.
So they told us the father was there that night in the first episode, right? So it's Jesse, Ian, Charlie, Sid. So could
Drew.
it be Sid? Drew. Could it be Sid? Well,
Could be.
maybe they break up.
I don't know how that relationship that relationship is going to break up. It might come back, but they're definitely breaking up at some point.
Yeah. If I had to be, if I had to guess, it would be Jesse, or Charlie. If I had to guess, and they're not showing him because they don't want. Because if they show him and it's white, you're like, it's not Ian, right? And if they show him and he's like mixed, it's Ian, right? So that's the reason why they're
it's
not
smart
showing
that they're
him.
not showing him. Also, they could just change the actor if need be.
Yeah, true. So it could be one of them. It could also be Ian. So those are like my top 3 guesses. I don't know how she would get into Charlie, but anything is possible. But yeah, it could be one of those 3. I don't see it being Sid.
I don't know. I think Valentina would.
Charlie.
I feel like Valentina would have beef if she got like with her ex because they're like besties and girl code, whatever.
That would make for a good show.
It depends on how the story goes and if Valentina's okay with it. I mean, it happened a lot between Barney and Ted with Robin. So it could. So Charlie could be the Robin, where he's back and forth between Valentina and Sophie. But we'll see what happens.
I feel it's definitely too early to tell. I can't put my finger down on it.
What's your theories, Dad?
So with who it is, that's the more difficult thing. I've mostly been focusing on why Sophie's telling the story. So I feel like one it's very similar to How I Met Your Mother. Is the whole she had a relationship, baby was born, things didn't work out, broke up with the father.
Yeah.
Father now her husband is out of the picture, either divorced, married, something, whatever. She's lonely. She's at home. She's in the middle of the night drinking wine, talking to her son, reminiscing about her past. Maybe she's reminiscing about her one true love, the father of her child. And it could be the same thing where she's trying to get the kid's blessing. Like, hey, I know your father and I, like, we're not together, but I was thinking maybe I should do this. I figured, would that be weird for you? I mean, maybe you'd be happy because your parents can be back together. Maybe it could be something along those lines. So I figure that's like the easiest go-to route.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just that's my thing. It's just like the whole why would somebody tell?
Why is she telling the
story?
Yeah.
You know, and that's that was my mindset with How I Met Your Mother. Like, why would he tell the story to them? And that's why at the last minute, that's why I was just like, oh, it's this, that. And so I'm just trying to think about it early on this time around. But that's probably the one that makes the most sense. I've just been floating around, just different ideas, just trying to figure it out. But that's definitely the one.
Yeah, it's a good theory. Yeah, man, I definitely enjoyed the show. It's not that I was iffy about it in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I was not invested yet into these characters. And I'm definitely invested a little more now. I get to know them a little more. And because it was only 10 episode season, so that means it was only 5 hours, right? Because it's a half-hour show, right? Where I feel like the seasons for How I Met Your Mother was a lot longer because it was on network television.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a 20
Yeah,
like 22 episode seasons.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot more to tell with like you had like slaps given, you had like all this stuff that was built up through this large period of time. So now this next season we're going to have 20 episodes. So that's, 10 hours of stories to tell, which I think for this show works better that way to get a little bit more. Just because of it's not the type of show where kind of like if it's like a show like the Peacemaker, if it's like longer than what it was, it gets stupid. But for this type of show, I feel like it needs to be a little longer.
Well, sitcoms in general, they work better when they go longer because it's a shorter amount of time. If it's like a full length hour long show, you're not trying to watch 20 something episodes of an hour long show.
Yeah.
It's
got like a slow burn feel to it. Like you want it to last, and you want it to you want more episodes so that you can get all the info and try to figure out that last mystery, like that the overall mystery.
Yeah.
So it makes you want more, as opposed to like you're saying, like a show like Peacemaker or something like that, where it needs that ending and that closure. If you keep going, it's just like you're gonna waste your time. You're gonna have filler episodes. You're gonna have boring moments, and it's like
Exactly. But yeah. So final thoughts. What do you guys have?
I mean, I said it on here before. This show, they got me from the first episode.
Okay.
With How I Met Your Mother, it was basically that show. It was kind of just like I heard a few people tell me about it. Eslam, you were one of them. We were just like, hey, this show's real funny. You should check it out. Okay, I'll give it a shot. And then it got me. I was hooked, and I was like, it's a funny sitcom. And by the time you get to the end of the show, it's like you actually care about the story. You care about what's happening. So it's like it just started off as a regular show that was funny, and then it got to the point where it's like I was fully invested in what was going on, and the big moments meant a lot to me. Regardless of who was happening to, I loved all the characters, not much about it, even Ted, which is hard. But it was
Sophie's way more likable.
Oh, so much
than Ted right now.
So much.
But she still has her stupid moments, but like she's way more likable than Ted.
But so I mean, they got me from the beginning, and I feel like I'm watching it almost differently last time. Not because I'm trying to guess the big thing, but because last time it was just like I became a bigger fan of the show. This one is just like I'm here for the special moments day one. Like anything that's just like, oh my god, I remember when this happened, blah blah blah. So it's like I'm much more invested in this show now than I was during season 1 of How I Met Your Mother because of How I Met Your Mother. But yeah.
They got you looking for those Easter eggs. And
it's just like I can't wait to see what's going to happen. So I love that I don't know. I love that it's just going to be new inside jokes, new Easter eggs, and I just can't wait. Can't wait to see where the show goes.
Yeah. My final thoughts. I really didn't have high hopes coming in. I don't know. I was kind of turned off by it at first a little, but once you give it the time, they definitely grow on you. And by the end of the season, I'm not going to say like I'm super in love, like head over heels, but it's definitely a show to keep on the radar. Definitely a show to keep on the background, if anything, because they definitely have there's some good moments, some worthwhile, funny moments in there, and relatable moments to life. I'm in a long distance relationship, so I totally relate with Sid and whatnot. So it's definitely worth the check out. Hopefully they go in a good direction with it, but for what it was, I think it's worth a recommendation.
Nice.
3.75.
I'll give it this one. I'll give a 4.25. You know what I'm saying? But
that's a good one. I'm feeling that 4.25 actually.
I really enjoyed the show. I'm really looking forward to the season 2 because like Dan said, I want to see the new moments that they create for the show. And they start a little bit with the Halloween 2018, and there's gonna be more. I'm looking forward to see maybe Charlie's family visits.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. For Charlie's
Which will be hilarious. Since he mentioned his mother and that Duchess and like how they treat each other, and like, so I'm just like, that's gonna probably be something in the future. And I can't wait to see the new characters that they introduce, with like maybe Charlie starts to date this new character. We have Valentina's obviously going to probably start to date another character. So I'm interested to see the people that they're going to bring in and continue the story. And yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to season 2. So hopefully that comes out pretty quickly.